Hey everyone, welcome to Behind the Art in 2021. I'm super excited to have you on as my first guest of 2021. So thank you for coming on the show, Osinachi.
Thank you and Happy New Year. Happy New Year, everyone.
Yes, Happy New Year to you as well. Everyone, thanks for popping in. When you come in, definitely say hi in the chat so we know you're here. You guys know the drill. If you guys have any questions as we chat or that come up, feel free and pop them there, and then we'll also talk about those live. This is going to be a really fun show to do. It's just crazy. I feel like I haven't done one in forever, but it really hasn't been that long. And I've admired your art for a while, so it'll be nice to hear more about you, more about your work and your process, and how you've gotten to the point where you are today. So I'm excited to chat about everything. We're just going to wait for a moment for a few more people to pop in here before we get started. Definitely say hey when you're in the chat, and then we will just get going in a moment. Did you do anything for exciting for the new year, or even at home?
Well, I was mostly home, and we have a second wave of COVID-19 here, so everybody's trying to be safe, using movement. So I wanted to go see my family, but I thought um, it was better I stayed back, see how things pan out. My family stays in the east of
Mhm.
Nigeria. I'm currently in the west, which is in Lagos.
Okay. Yeah, I mean same here. Uh we stayed home for New Year's as well, but we FaceTimed some of our family to just say hey before the new year rang in. So that was nice just to have some a call for that for sure. Um awesome. Okay, so just give me 1 second here. All right. So really quick, I'm going to, as you guys, I've told you guys before, I'm super excited that I'm partnered up with Metacast for sponsorships. So I'm going to talk to you really quickly about this month's sponsor, and then we'll get right into the episode. So just give me 1 sec here. All right, perfect. So today's this month's sponsor for actually all of January is Avagache. And I don't know if you guys have heard about it yet. Let me know if you guys have, but it is really interesting. I want to pull up their website and their Twitter here. So their Twitter's up on the screen, and they are a new crypto collectible, and I think they're launching sometime this month. And so all of the avatars are stored on chain, and then they do something really interesting, which I want to learn more about. But it's DeFi combined with their crypto collectible. So I think as you hold their collectibles, you're also earning through a staking process, which is really interesting and just kind of blending the two, as we know, NFTs and DeFi into one project, which is pretty interesting. So in my YouTube link, I have the links for the Avagache Twitter and then also for their website. So you can check out their coin, figure out how to get verified, and then read their white paper and light paper just to learn more about what they're doing. And then I also linked their Medium, so you could just see more about their launch. They just posted something yesterday, and then the 6th, 5 days ago. So they're super active on their Medium, just keeping the community updated about their project. So I have the links all in the description box. Definitely check that out. And let me know if any of you guys end up collecting Abagaches and what you think about the project, and would love to chat about it sometime on the show as well. So check that out, and then we'll get back to the show. Awesome. So Osinachi, I would love to just start the stream asking about if you want to talk a little bit about your background and how you began your creative career, and what art looked like for you up until where you are now, where you're tokenizing your work. So if you want to give a little bit of the background, and then we can dive in from there.
All right. First of all, I started as a writer. I used to read a lot growing up, and I felt this urge to also tell stories, the kind of stories that I read. I wanted to also tell my stories, personal experiences through literature. From literature, I saw myself shifting to visual art. Um, that was mostly in the university. Of course, before then, I used to do a bit of drawing on my own. I remember drawing in class while classes are going on in secondary school. And I didn't take it seriously until my university days when I had just finished my studies and had submitted my research project and seeing there was nothing else to do. Um, I went back to my computer. Before getting to the university, my dad introduced me to the internet when it was still a new thing here, when we had cyber cafes where you could where you could go to and stay all night long browsing the internet. And I tried using the internet as a budding writer to submit my work, my manuscripts to literary magazines, online
Mm.
literary magazines. And by doing that, I had to, of course, use Microsoft Word to type the manuscript. And when I was done typing, I was seeing myself playing around with Microsoft Word, trying to see what and what I could do with it. And I saw my love for visual art playing out there. I discovered the drawing tools on Microsoft Word, and I started experimenting, trying out things on my own. The first things I remember creating were popular logos that I've seen here in Nigeria. From there, when I got to the university, I started trying to get deeper into this thing. And in my final year in the university, I created a few works. They were just like seminal works, and they were the start of what we know today to be Osinachi. They were um, mostly abstract work, and from that, I started building more and more into what uh, we know today as Osinachis aesthetics. And then as a digital artist, I found it a bit difficult to find opportunities for traditional artists who work with physical acrylic and all of that. They could easily find opportunities because a lot of galleries are very traditional, strictly
Yeah.
traditional. So for a digital artist like myself, I found it difficult until I discovered that crypto art, the crypto art scene, which was emerging at about late 2017, early 2018, and I hopped on. The first platform I was on was called Rare Art.
Yeah.
From Rare Art, I had my work on Portion.io. From Portion.io, I moved on to Super Rare, and from Super Rare, I got on other platforms like Maker's Play. And when things really kicked off around late 2019, when we had this boom in the NFT space, I started exploring more platforms to put my work out there, Rarible, Async Art, and most recently, Nikki Gateway. That has been my journey so far.
That's amazing. So, how did you first of all, I think that the journey starting with Microsoft Word is really interesting, and you just typing in there and for your work, and then wanting to discover more and more, and starting with logos. That's such a cool transition. How many years ago was that? Do you think?
That was my secondary school days. I got into the university in 2010, so that should be around 2007.
Okay.
Yeah, 2006, 2007, thereabout.
Yeah, that's so cool that that was sort of your intro into this digital sphere, and that sparked something in you to just continue to keep designing and figuring out how to push the limits with that. That's a very cool journey. And how did you initially, when you were talking about in 2017 NFTs and everything like that, how did you initially find Rare and find these platforms that you decided to tokenize your work with?
Yeah, so as I was looking for opportunities, I decided to set up Google Alerts for digital art. you
Okay.
know. And almost every day I'll get these alerts and go through the news and check out what is happening in terms of digital art in the world. And that was how I discovered Rare Art for what they were doing, and I reached out to them.
Okay. That's really amazing. So, you set up an alert to just see what was going on because that was something you were really interested in.
I still have that alert. I have a digital alert for visual art and digital art.
That's amazing. I love that. That's such a cool. I mean, you were just taking charge of what you wanted to happen. You were like, this is the area I want to be in, and I want to, do this in a really strong way. So I'm just gonna set up an alert, look, and find something that has an opportunity that I can work with.
Yeah, I thought that it was important that people see my work.
Mm-hmm.
I think that for a visual artist, it is not enough to just make the work and keep.
Yep.
If you don't have an audience there, the work hasn't really had an effect,
Mm-hmm.
the full effect that it should have. So I thought it was important that people see my work.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, I mean, you have a very distinct style. I love your work, and viewers can check it out as we stream. But do you want to talk about how you were able to form your style and where your inspirations are rooted from within your work?
Yeah, I'm interested in figurative portraiture, which you can see through my work. I believe that the representation of human beings or subjects is also a representation of humanity as a whole, our experiences as humankind. And that is why my aesthetic is as it is. Mostly my focus, of course, is on Black subjects most of the time, because of course I'm Black and my experience is African. Uh, and that's it. The current aesthetic that I work with now started at around 2018. And once I discovered this, I felt, yeah, this is what I want to do for the rest of my career as a visual artist. And it's amazing telling stories through what I do.
And with the stories that you're telling, and they're really powerful. And I do want to talk about a few specific pieces of yours and dive more into those. But in general, with the stories you're telling, do you feel like the work that you're doing, you've been able to not only tell part of your journey or people around you, but have you noticed that people around you are also in like going on the journey with you through your work?
Yes, yes. Uh, I've had people collect my work on different crypto art platforms. And oftentimes I'd have these collectors come into my DM on Twitter or even email me and talk about the effect my work has had on them and how much they appreciate the message that I have in this work. So I
Mm.
feel that this is me achieving what I set out to do once I created that Google Alert for digital art years ago. And people experiencing these things uh, for me, it's a way of looking at my life, looking at what I've experienced as a human being, as an African, as a Nigerian, as an Igbo person, and people comparing it to theirs. At the end of the day, it's about telling human stories, and no matter how different our stories may look, there are still certain points or certain areas where we have similar experiences, and these things join us together. That's what I've discovered through sharing my work.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the first pieces that I discovered of yours, and I don't want to say the title because I'm gonna mess it up, so you're gonna have to help me. But it's the title. It's becoming Sochukuma. I don't know.
Chikuma.
Sochukuma.
Yeah, becoming Chikuma.
That was one of the first pieces I discovered of yours, and I thought it was really beautifully done. And then when I read the description, I was really blown away by it and the way you were able to capture something so important. I don't know, would you be open to chatting a little bit about that piece? And then maybe we can also pull it up on the screen for other folks to see as well.
All right. Becoming for Chikuma was one of the works that put me out there in the crypto art space. The piece is a look at masculinity, the way it is perceived in most parts of the world. And in fact, I'd say every part of the world where it is said that a man has to be a man, and what that means is a man doesn't have to be feminine. A man doesn't have to engage in things in quotes that are meant for women, that a man should dress a certain way that shows that he's a man, and a man should be strict, more like a statue, don't show feelings. So
Mm-hmm.
becoming Tochukuma was my way of showing that it is important for people to be themselves, to express themselves in whatever way they want to, in whatever gender identity they have. It is important that their stories are told. At the background
Absolutely.
of this very work was the 2014 anti-LGBT law that then President Jonathan of Nigeria signed. And a Nigerian writer, Chimamanda Adichie, wrote a piece in response to that, criticizing the anti-gay law. And in her writing, she mentions that while she was in school, she had this friend, this effeminate guy, whom she would call Tochukuma. What Tochukuma means in Igbo is only God knows. So what this
Mm.
means is I don't really know your experience as someone who identifies this way, but then only God knows what this is, and I am going to accept you as you are. That's basically what Tochukuma is. And that piece inspired this very work.
Wow. And by the way, I think I'm not sure why, but the video is paused right now.
Huh?
Do you have the image, or did you pull up the art? It just says the video is paused during mobile screen sharing. Not sure why, because we just tried it and it was working
Oh,
before.
the video stopped sharing. Let me try
Let's
that
see if we
again. Can you
can.
see it now?
Um, Not quite, not yet.
Oh, it must be with my OneDrive because I'm sharing through my OneDrive. But
I can
the
see
work
if I
is
can
on
pull
my
it up as well.
Instagram.
I can try to pull it up on my screen to share as well. Are you fine with that?
All right.
Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
sure.
I'm gonna pull it up here for everyone just to check out um, the piece we were just talking about. I'm not used to typing on my PC, so forgive me. But here we go. So right now I'm on the Osinachi super rare site. So you guys are like collection. So you guys can see all of his creations through here. And as I'm scrolling through, you can just see, I mean, the colors that you use and the textures are so beautiful. And it's interesting because they're obviously each telling their own story, but they really um, come together as like a full collection, which I think is so
Yeah.
beautiful. And you've done a lot of, I mean, just really strong statement pieces. And the piece that we were actually just talking about was this one here, becoming Sochukuma. Kuma. Sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. But
Yeah.
this piece was the first piece that I saw of yours, and um, it was just really beautifully done, especially as I read through this meeting and what Osinachi just chatted about. So I definitely wanted to bring that piece up. But as you're seeing throughout the other super rare works, you see a theme, like you said, of just sharing different journeys in people's lives that are for you particular to where you're living, but also like you said, happen with everyone around the world in some cases. So um, I think it's really beautifully done. I'm just keeping this up on the screen for other folks to take a second to look at. If you'd like, I would love to just hear more about, if you want me to pull up a specific work on Super Rare or somewhere else to talk about. But you also did a really cool piece on async art that I'm going to pull up. And if you want to talk about that piece, and because I think it actually did something really cool for the community, where it, uh, and I have you back on the screen now for a moment, and I'll pull that up. But it did something really cool where it was one of the first pieces on Async where the community came together to make changes within your work and change all the faces to a certain color or a certain background and try to come together to do that. So, do you want to talk a little bit about the work on Async, what the meaning behind it is, and what if you were surprised with the outcome and how the community reacted when they were changing their layers or anything like that?
Yeah, art is a powerful force. As an artist, I can only make art trying to tell my genuine story, and you don't know what will happen in the future, with the piece you create today. The piece you're talking about, Choose the Man You Will Become, was made in the form of a Baba poster, which in my which was a reference to the barber shop where men go to get a haircut, and in the process of doing that, interact with each other. And in the process of interacting with each other, we see a lot of toxic masculinity. We see a lot of sexist statements being made. We see a lot of disrespect, coming from the men's folk when talking about the women. I experienced this growing up here in Nigeria. When you go to get a haircut, you see mostly men, all the time it's men there, and then you have to wait your turn to get a haircut. In the process of waiting, people are talking and you are listening. As a young person, even at that age, I felt that there was a problem with the way women were being talked about,
Mm.
by these men. So I decided to use the Baba poster as a sort of symbolism. Choose the man you will become means, say you can do better. You know, I, in a way, it's making reference to when, as a man, you walk into the barber shop and you look at the poster and you point out a particular hairstyle and you tell the barber, this is what I want. So you're choosing the hairstyle you want, basically, and that means you're making a choice. In that same way, you can make a choice to be a better man, respect women, and just be a good person. When I created the piece, I think art came on board. I felt this was a perfect piece for I think art where collectors could play around with the various layers. I didn't anticipate what would happen. I didn't know that soon we were going to have the tragic incident, which was the killing of George Floyd, leading to the massive Black Lives Matter protests across the world. And it was at this moment that these things really came to the fore. And we saw collectors changing each layer that they own to a silhouette, which was a way of standing with what was happening, saying, no, this sort of thing shouldn't repeat itself. People shouldn't be killed because of the color of their skin. They shouldn't be treated differently because of the color of their skin. And it was a really inspiring moment to see that collectors who have this work in their collection really know what they can do with it. That's the beauty of the crypto art thing. That's the beauty of programmable art. The collector can express themselves through the piece that they
Mm.
own. And this was basically what we saw. It was a really moving moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you're discussing the original meaning of the piece, it's so interesting how in at one point the whole community of collectors came together to make a movement in the piece, because even going back to the initial meaning of the piece, and choosing to be a man and do the right thing, or to choose the wrong thing and disrespect women, or whatever all these different meanings are that you were overhearing in the barbershop. It's really interesting because in that scenario as well, it does help to have the entire community uplift and make that change together to be able to, which is what needs to happen to be able to really take away those things that are not great that are happening. And then we see later the community make this change within the piece, which was a big statement. And of course, it was just, it was moving and it was powerful and it was cool to see. And it definitely connects back to your original meaning of the piece as well in some way. Um, I thought it was really beautifully done. And I mean, congratulations on that piece and having that on Async. Because, like you said, I think it was a beautiful demonstration of what programmable art can do. And you guys have heard me talk about Async on the show, but Async is is really special that it can make the actual creation and creator connect directly with the collector in these different ways of changing the layers or time zones or whatever it is. So that was really special that you guys were able to do that. So congrats on that piece as well. Um,
Thank you.
so yeah, of course. And so for your pieces, I would love, as we had these up on the screen, and I'll pull them up again. Like I said, you have a very distinct style, and the colors you use all talk to each other, even amongst the different pieces. Do you want to talk about how you either developed that color story throughout your pieces, or was it pretty natural? Do you go into a piece sort of knowing what kind of tones you want to use, or I guess if you want to tell us more about the actual creation of the piece and what process that takes for you?
All right. When I was in the university, a professor was teaching us and somehow started talking about other things. And he asked why a man would wear pink trousers. That it is for females, it is not for men, and all that. And that got me thinking, what color is feminine, what color is masculine? If I feel a connection to pink, why can't I wear pink trousers as a man if I want to? If
Mm,
as a woman you want to wear blue trousers, blue whatever, why can't you do that? And it somehow shows itself in my work. In real life, I'm terrible in terms of making color choices when it comes to fashion. My friends always complain. But then when it
mm,
comes to my work, I feel that there's sort of synergy in such a way that each color sort of brings about the next color, and they sort of blend together to push the message of the piece. Basically, what I do is to try and see what works, and as a human being and who can see, when you see what works, it works. And
yeah.
then the colors themselves become symbols. They become a part of the piece and they push the piece. So I just try to put bright colors in my work. I think it is still trying to strike a balance between touching stories that I tell. I mean, some of these stories are pathetic, but they need to be told,
Yeah.
and also having bright colors to sort of balance the whole thing. I think that's my theory when it comes to my use of color.
Yeah, no, that's a beautiful theory. And again, I love hearing how something from your past and a teacher saying a certain thing um, affected you, and it also, in some way, made you choose to do the opposite, which I think is so interesting because that was a theme even that you spoke about earlier with overhearing other people, chatting maybe bad about women, and for you that wasn't going to happen, so you decided to do the opposite and advocate through your work for something different. So I think that's really interesting that for you you are a very independent thinker and put that in your work as well, encouraging others to be. So I really appreciate that. Um,
Yeah.
I would also, if you're open to chatting about, I want to talk about one more piece of yours. Unless you want to, I'm going to have you pick out some too. But one more piece that I was really drawn to was your self portrait of when you, I'll have it up on the screen now, a portrait of the artist at 29. And it's a picture of you painting the black stripes onto a zebra. Um,
Yeah.
I would love for you to talk more about this piece if you're open to it.
Yeah. Okay. I turned 29 last October, and turning 29 in 2020 was it was historic for me in such in a sense that I have come to establish myself as a digital artist in the crypto art space, doing my thing, doing what I love, being able to put food on my table by doing what I love. And it was also a moment of reflection for me. Every birthday is a moment of reflection for me. And I felt I should reflect on the intersection between traditional art and digital art.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt, I came to realize, or I think, that there is hardly any difference between traditional art and digital art. Using my own art as an example, I've had people come into my DM and say they love my work, they would like to collect it, and then they are surprised or shocked when I tell them that it is digital.
Mm.
At first they think it is not digital, and that is what that piece is trying to capture, where I'm holding this digital device in my hand, as a reference for what I am painting traditionally out there. So it's a sort of intersection between uh, traditional art and my practice as a digital art.
Yeah, that's really cool. And why did you choose to use the the zebra and then also the background that you're using with the leaves? I'm assuming that's because of the time of the year and October. But is there anything else behind that?
Well, the painting the zebra is my way of making reality more real, which is
Mm-hmm.
what I think art does. We know that a zebra has these black stripes, or like some people say, white stripes. So whichever one you want to go with. And showing that in my work, showing the painting of black stripes on a zebra is a way of reinforcing experience, reinforcing reality, reinforcing what is happening. It's more like when I have when I make a work about a man dancing, wearing what some people would regard as feminine clothes. The truth
Mm.
is that it happens. There are people who identify as men who are doing this, and there's no problem with that. So that is me making reality more real. And sometimes you get so used to certain sites that you don't actually stand pause to contemplate on them. For example, the beauty of zebra. You may not really take into consideration how beautiful the zebra is with these white stripes, maybe until you see this particular work where a part of the animal is removed, the part of the stripes are removed, and
Yeah.
the artist is painting a part. So it really reminds you that, hey, a zebra has stripes. So it's making reality more real. And the background is my way of paying tribute to my African roots. If you check most of my work, you see that I use these Ankara pieces made by a company called Blisco. They have these beautiful Ankara pieces, and they are mostly worn here in Nigeria. People make clothes with them and wear them, and other African countries. So that is me paying tribute to my African roots, the background.
That's beautiful. I think this was really nicely done, and it was very cool to see. I always find when artists do self portraits so interesting to me because it's such, every piece of art is so personal to you when you're creating, no matter what it is, because it's coming from your heart when you're putting it out. Every single line, every single color. So then to go that step further and have a self portrait, it's you're putting even more of yourself on the paper, literally or digitally. So it is quite cool to see why you chose each thing you chose for that. So well done on that piece, and
Thank
happy
you.
belated birthday. Um, so if you would love to chat about do you have a particular favorite piece of yours or something that was a changing point for you, or anything like that you'd like to talk about, or if it's your collection as a whole as you're going through the journey, that's fine as well. But was there any either transition point for you or a transition piece for you that changed things in some way or the other?
I think a transitional point for me was when my gallery in Switzerland, this vast gallery, reached out and said they were interested in my work. It made me believe that as a digital artist, I could still get into the traditional art space in that sense. I had my solo exhibition in Switzerland, existence as protest at Getback Gallery. And it was really a beautiful moment for me, even though COVID-19 halted most of the activities. But it was me seeing myself not just as an artist whose work ends up on the screen, but also as an artist whose work gets collected as limited edition print, across the world. And we have institutions interested in my work. And in fact, people who go to galleries and who are expecting to see just traditional artwork are really taken aback looking at these works that are digitally made, but then have these powerful messages behind them. So that was really a cool moment for me.
Yeah, that is a really special moment because there is something that is so different about digital versus physical work. You know, when you're talking about having people collect limited edition pieces, there is something that is, at least for me as a person who creates digital and physical, it's a different feeling. You know, having that exhibition and having that moment where your work is displayed and your life is, all here in one room and people are enjoying it right there in front of it. It's a different feeling and definitely, in my
Yeah,
opinion, a lot more personal than releasing something as an NFT, just on the surface at least. So it is very very special. So that's amazing, and that totally makes sense as a highlight or turning point for you as well. Are you looking forward to doing more physical showings in the future? Obviously after COVID-19, um, uh, or releasing more limited edition physical works, or do you think that there's one side that you're leaning more towards, either digital or physical, or you'll keep combining both?
I um I always believe that my work has two lives, which is the physical form and the digital form. So I try to straddle both, and I feel that that is my way of reaching out to different kinds of collectors. There are those who want the physical work printed, and there are those who want to collect, of course, the digital versions of these works. So I will be having more exhibitions, hopefully in different parts of the world, as the way of introducing my work to these different parts of the world and the future. Hopefully, this year something happens. And while I'm doing that, I'm also paying attention to the crypto art space and trying to do just what I love.
Absolutely. No, that's a great answer. And this is a little bit of a side note, but I was going to bring it up in the beginning and I forgot. Are you familiar with the artist Bisa Butler?
Yeah, it's about like, yeah.
Okay, so also when I first found your work, first of all, she's one of my absolute favorite artists, and I'll you guys should check her out if you haven't. But when I saw your work, in some ways it looked so much to me like because Bisa her work is like fabrics, and she sews
Yeah.
everything together, and she celebrates Black life through her work. And when I saw your pieces, the way that you do it, they almost have that quilt effect. They look like they're quilted fabrics in some cases. So I just wanted to tell you that. I mean, she's absolutely one of my most favorite artists, and I think she's so inspirational. And your work to me is reminiscent and reminds me of hers. So I just wanted to tell you that, which is a side note.
Yeah.
But
I love Butler's work too.
oh,
I love her work.
oh yeah, she's amazing. You guys should definitely check her work out if you haven't. It's I've seen it in person at a art exhibition here in Chicago, and
Um,
briefly met her, and I was just like in awe of her work in person, especially because it's so large. And like I said, like when you see stuff in person, it's just so much different than when you see it online in some cases. So,
yeah. Yeah.
um, but yeah. So I would also, as we're, if you guys have questions on the channel, definitely feel free and pop them in. But as we're still chatting about your works and everything, I would love to hear about what you have planned for this next year. What you're excited about, or where, even if it's in a few years, where you hope to see your work form into, or transition, or continue, to explore the NFT art space. Like, what is your future goals, I guess, for the next couple of years for your work and for the NFT art space in general?
Well, I'd like to see more. Like to see myself play a more active role. I'm already doing that in the NFT space by bringing in African artists. There are a lot of amazing artists from Africa who need to have their work on crypto art space. There's a bit of skepticism when it comes to crypto art. I mean, I've um, uh, I've reached out to a number of artists, and they said they are not interested in crypto art. They've heard about crypto art. They think they know what it's about, but most of them are not open to that.
Mm.
So I hope that changes very soon, and we start seeing more artists. And I'd like to help bring about that. And of course, my plan for the year is to create and create, to keep telling my stories, possibly have an exhibition or exhibitions in the metaverse, and also somewhere in physical galleries, and hopefully collaborate with galleries, and also have them see what is happening in the crypto art space, because whereas the crypto art space is decentralized, I believe that galleries can also come in and play certain roles, like my gallery, State Class Gallery. Um, I hope that in the next few years, collectors who have my work will be proud that they have this work because of the timeless message that is contained therein. And I believe that more people will collect Osinachi, and that is it. Just to make art and live.
Yeah, and have other people enjoy your art, which is special
Yeah,
in the physical,
yeah.
in the
It's really,
metaverse, wherever it is.
yeah,
Yeah, that always, I mean, I totally agree with you. Continuing to create, continuing to share. And also, I love that you're getting people interested, that art, African artists interested, or at least trying to inform them about what's going on here, and bringing some of your community into the space is really interesting, and I look forward to seeing that as well. Um,
yeah.
I would love to start asking you. Do you want to talk about anything in particular that you have coming up, or is it okay if I start asking you some of the closing questions, which are kind of fun?
Yeah, I'll go ahead. Go ahead and ask the
Okay.
question.
Okay. So I always do these at the end. some are not relevant at all to NFTs. It's just getting to know you a little bit more. So some are a little random. But what is a skill that you wish you had?
A skill I wish I had. Um, I wish I could speak multiple languages. I
That's a
think
good.
it's a beautiful thing that each language is unique in a way. I was just discussing with a friend the other day in Alpha language, what you refer to as you in English language, you, the pronoun, they have it dissected into the you for female and you for male, which is really beautiful. So I think I wish I could speak multiple languages, but sadly, I can only speak English, my Igbo language, and that's it.
Wow, that's a good one for sure. I mean, we've had I think one other person say it. I think it was Sam who said that as well. Um, what is your favorite animal?
My favorite animal, hmm, my favorite animal. First of all, I don't like reptiles, so the ask of the question.
Okay,
Um, I think I'd go with the cat.
a cat. That's.
Yeah, yeah. I
Do
think
you
I'll,
have a
I'll
cat?
go with the cat. No, I don't have a pet. I don't have an animal. I don't have a cat. But I think I'd go with the cat because of how they look like they are not interested in the world, but then they are observing the world at the same time. You
Mm,
know. Yeah.
I like that. That's a good one. I love cats, so you've got my vote on that one. If you only had to watch one or could watch one movie for the rest of your life, which movie would it be?
I think it would be Moulin Rouge. I hope
Okay.
I pronounced that right.
Yeah.
With Nicole Kidman. Beautiful. I'm
That,
I'm I'm a lover of musicals. That was a beautiful, beautiful film.
yeah, absolutely. And a lot of inspiration, I'm sure, in that film for
Yeah.
art, for sure. Um, what is your favorite place on Earth, near or far?
My favorite place on earth, honestly, is my head.
Okay.
I always say that I'm working all the time, so I could just zone out and I'm thinking about the next work that I want to create.
Yeah.
So I'm mostly in my head all the time, mostly.
Okay. That's a good one. You know, I have heard people say their own house or their own backyard, but your own head is definitely closer than even that. So,
Yeah.
um, that's a good one. What was cool when you were young, but is not cool now?
Hmm. It was cool to have a VHS player
Yeah.
in your house.
Yeah. Same.
I mean, you'd have kids from different neighborhoods just crowd the window trying to watch a home movie.
That's
You
so
know,
funny.
I did that too, and it was awesome.
Yeah. I think I had like three VHSs growing up that I would just replay over and over and over. So I'm surprised that they didn't end up
I
ruining.
was so interested in films because my dad had this collection of American action movies, and
Oh, cool.
I couldn't get enough.
That's awesome. The Bitcoin or Ethereum, if you had to pick one.
Ethereum,
Ethereum?
Ethereum,
Okay.
yeah.
Um, would you want to live forever?
Yes, I was just talking about that the other day. I'd like to see what the world would evolve or devolve into in the next, let's say, 200, 300 years from now. I'd like to see if all these futuristic movies and literature, if they're telling the truth,
Yeah,
you know.
that's true. Yeah, a lot of people say no to that question, but I say yes. I would like to. So,
There,
it's
there,
nice
there
to
was this
hear.
there was this film about a vampire. What is it? Is it Vampire Diaries? I don't remember exactly where the
Uh-huh.
vampire lived for years. So I saw that movie and I felt, wow, it would be wonderful to live. for a very, very long time, probably forever.
Yeah, yeah, very true. Okay, last two questions. Your favorite NFT that you own?
My favorite NFT that I own, um, I think it's the one that was gifted me by Rosie.
By
It's right
who?
there in my super by Rosie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right there in my super rare collection. He talked about how his sister inspired the piece,
Yeah.
and he just gifted me the piece. It's really wonderful.
Wow, that's beautiful. Yeah, he has a
Yeah,
lot of in that collection that is quite cool, and I like the story behind the whole collection as well, and why he creates. So, that's a great piece, I'm sure.
yeah.
Um, if you could have one NFT that you wanted for free, any NFT at all, which would it be? So it doesn't have to be art. It could be virtual land. It could be the original Crypto Kitty or CryptoPunk, anything.
I think I'd go with the virtual land because recently I've started to have this obsession with real estate, you know. So I think I'll go with virtual land.
Okay.
Probably
Do you know
create
which
my own
world it would
gallery.
be in? Do you know which world it would be in?
Would it be fair to pick a particular word? I think each one is unique in its own way, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the virtual land, Cryptovox stores, community space, all unique in their own way. So
You want a
anywhere is
headquarters
fine.
in all of them. You want a headquarters in each one. That
Yeah,
would
that would be
be
great. Yeah,
okay. So basically you want one bundle of a land in every virtual world.
yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. That's awesome. Thank you for answering all of those. They just help us to get to know you a little bit more. Um, this was super fun, and I loved hearing more about you and your personal story and how that affects your art and the stories you're putting through your art. Because when I look at your art, in each one, I really do see a full story, which is not easy to do. So it's not just a subject that you're seeing. You see all of the different elements that truly give the each piece its own meaning. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate the visual time that you take to put into it and the visual story through each one. Like I said, they all look like a collection and all done by you, but each one has a very particular and special meaning. So thank you for walking us through a few of those and telling us more about them and the meaning behind them. I think this show was awesome and just shed light on your awesome work, and I'm excited to see what you have coming too.
Yeah, thank you for having me on the show. I really appreciate coming on. I like to talk about art, talk about my work, talk about my process, and really build on that and do more through my work. So thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll see you soon, everyone. I linked Osinachi's website and Twitter in the YouTube description box, so definitely follow Osinachi there. And then also, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with all the new streams coming out. We have a lot planned. This was episode 40, so you're the 40th artist slash collector to come on the
Yeah.
show. Thank you. And then we have two more coming for the rest of season two, because there's 21 episodes in each season. We'll have a small, I'll do probably an AMA maybe after that or right when season three starts. But we have a lot of episodes booked out. So thanks, Goldward. So we definitely keep track of those, and they'll all be posted on Twitter. So thank you, Osinachi, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you so much.
All right, bye.
Bye.